Hello, my name is Ryan Harper, and today we're here in Fountain, North Carolina, where we're going to be speaking with Mr. Philip Guy. And Mr. Guy is one of the co-owners of Pines Vineyard, and he's going to take us through the process of making wine. So let's take a look.
My name is Phil Guy. My wife and I own Pines Vineyard and Winery here in Pitt County. We're in the west side of Pitt County, outside of the little town of Falkland. We have been growing grapes here for over 20 years, and starting about 2008, 2007, we started a more active planting of our vineyard, in which we currently have 6 acres of grapes, of vines. And in 2015, we received our permits from the federal government and state ABC Commission, and we started officially in June of 2015 making wine here. And we currently make about, we have 19 different labels. We make a great variety of wines. We have traditional sweet muscadine wines, and then we have fruit flavored wines, and we also have dry wines, favorites like Cabernet Sauvignon and Shiraz, Pinot Grigio, Chardonnay. And so we are out in a number of retailers.
What made you want to get into the winery business?
Well, like a lot of people around here growing up in eastern North Carolina, my wife and I grew up loving muscadine grapes, which is North Carolina's native grape. As we developed our farmland here, we decided to plant some vines, and they did very well. And so we planted additional varieties and experimented with homemade winemaking. And then both of us were approaching retirement age, so we decided to explore if eastern North Carolina was a good place to have a commercial winery. And we found out that there is no commercial vineyard and winery in Pitt County and several other surrounding counties. There are lots of wineries throughout North Carolina, so we decided that this would be a good place. And so we got started, and we've had a lot of success and local support. And so we also used local names for some of our wines. For instance, we're the only winery in Pitt County, and my wife and I are East Carolina graduates. She was a former professor at ECU, so one of our first and our most successful labels is called Pirates Reserve, appropriate for Pitt County.
What's the process of making wine, like start to finish?
Well, we start with our business because we're basically in farming business. It starts with a seasonal. Here we are in January, and we are very busy now with pruning the vines. As you can see behind me, there are some that have been pruned, and others around here that are in need of pruning. So that's what we'll do during the winter. We experience the beginning of life in the vineyard in April, and that's called bud break. The little buds form up on the vines, and with the proper soil temperature and air temperature, they break open and they start to grow leaves. And then on into May and June, we start seeing clusters of grapes. And then in September, when the fruit is at a peak of ripeness, we hand harvest ours. So we pick the grapes, and then we crush them, and then press out the juice, and then fermentation, and which takes several weeks. And then probably into November and December, our muscadine juice is then fermented, and then we filter it and bottle it, label it, and that's how the cycle repeats itself starting in December when cold weather sets in once again, and we do the pruning of our vines. But it's always something to do year-round. Well, the weather is something, of course, like anyone in farming, you have to deal with on a daily basis. We track the weather very closely. We follow the weather, we watch the rain, we chart how often we get rain. But with the fact that I know it seems like in the last few decades, temperature in general, the climate has warmed just a little bit. And I think that has added a lot of good to the business of vineyards and winemaking all over North Carolina, from the mountains to the coast. And there are a lot of very different type of operations towards the western part of the state and compared to us. But we are all affected by the fact that warmer weather, as long as we get a good amount of natural rainfall, and we'll have a good quality of harvest. We like to stress the fact that we are local. We are very much here. We're a hands-on small operation. We're a family operation. That involves me and my wife, as well as our daughter, my brothers, sisters, cousins, everyone can chip in, and they pitch in and help us with harvest, all aspects of this really. But if you'll notice, there's a difference to the way we run our vineyard compared to a lot of other places, and that is we do not spray chemicals at all in the vineyard, which I think produces a better quality of grape and much better quality of juice and wine, because it is very natural. If you look down the row, we do have grass, weeds, and everything growing, which we have to deal with, but we don't spray weed killer, which has really been in the news. We have bluebird houses spread throughout our vineyard. It attracts birds that fly and eat insects, and the grapes that we grow, we have 10 varieties of muscadine primarily, and they have really evolved over the centuries to be very much disease resistant, and they are very tolerant of our climate here. So by growing our local vines, that really helps us as well.